And we are live once again for GRAPPL FPL Club, here to talk Game Week 11, Game Week 12 still happening, Game Week 13 is happening at the weekend. But joining us, Andy, Chris, Jamesy, it's all going on. How are we, men?
Oh, good.
Very good.
Yeah, very well, very well.
Feels weird.
Watching
this one
the,
definitely feels a bit soccer Saturday, doesn't it, Chris? Like everything.
That's it. I'm just watching the end of Steven Gerrard's managerial career, I think. He does not look like he's got much faith in what's going on the pitch anymore.
Oh, I don't know if it was true, but like Matty put in our group chat, didn't he, the other day, where it was like all those Scouse WhatsApp. We were like the local WhatsApp group chat for everything. Like, oh, my mate saw Steven Gerrard in the pub. He's wasted. He's talking about leaving Villa, and there's all these photos doing the rounds. I don't know how real they were. Anything like that tends to get a bit of traction. My mate's cousin's dad said type of stuff, but I think
there were a couple of pictures in there as well, weren't there? So they did seem. I don't know. I think that they looked a little old to me. Like he looked a bit younger there than he does at the moment on TV. So I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if he was feeling the pressure at the minute and not playing well.
I think everyone is. What's going on with Ronaldo at the minute, Jamesy? Andy asking there, potentially going on a free. It's all kicking off today. Hey man, Liz Truss on the way out. I think that's the internet's been working the magic. Memes for both. It's been a great day on Twitter, to be fair, hasn't it? A lot of stuff like that.
I said it earlier. Twitter's a bad app in a lot of ways, but on days like this, it really comes into its own, I have to say. Did you see the picture of the Photoshop picture of Ronaldo walking out of Old Trafford, but he had a wig and Truss on the back of it.
That was still like 20 minutes after it all the news broke.
So fast. So fast. And then the lettuce. I thought the lettuce was kind of stupid all along, but now I'm kind of thinking actually the lettuce is very good. That's actually really, really
I think they handled it like at first it was a bit lame, wasn't it? Like Daily Star, like having like, it's the lettuce. And then I think it was the more they dressed it up. Gave it the little bag of Greg's, gave it the wig, and then today, when they could finally turn the Liz Truss photo over, it was like, you know what, that was quite a good moment, to be fair. And everyone seems to have got around. I know what you mean. I've done a full circle on it as well. What is it with us? Like we were here the night the Queen went. We're here the day Liz Truss has gone. All the big news.
Steven Gerrard, Ronaldo. We're seeing them all off.
Do you have a bet on any of that, Andy? Did you have a bet on Liz Truss to go?
I didn't, no, but I see, is he called Stephen Louch on Twitter? I think this was last week when Kwasi Kwarteng left. He had a tenner on at 9-1 on Liz Truss to go, and the cash out then was like 20 or 30 quid. So I seen he posted on Twitter today, like I think 90, he won 100 quid off it. Good on him, but. It's just a farce, isn't it, buddy? Boris Johnson could be back, of all things.
Put money on that. He's trying to. I seen a couple of like FPL related jokes today, but it was like, triple captain Rishi Sunak for next week, and the big money for Boris. It's fucking insane, isn't it? But yeah, on your man Ronaldo, James, you like what? Like, I don't know. It's like all the United old boys are just like refusing to accept like that he's not who he was. It's like, how much can you really? I love the Ten Hag. Just told him to basically fuck off at this point. That's the manager you needed. Like it's turned out well.
He's played it beautifully, because I have no doubt if somebody came in for Ronaldo in the summer and it was put to Ten Hag, do you want to keep him or do you want to get rid of him? I'd say he'd have happily gotten rid of him, because he just doesn't do anything that Ten Hag wants in a centre forward. Like, he wants work rate, he wants energy, he wants movement, and these are all things that Ronaldo isn't really able to offer anymore, and kind of never did. He was never a guy for tracking back and doing the dirty work, you know what I mean? But it was always covered up by his goals, and the goals have dried up now, So I think Ten Hag's played a blinder here. Like, he's, since the start of the season, all he's done is praise Ronaldo, talk him up about how much of a great player he is. He's played him here and there, and he's just kind of let him fall on his own sword, and he's just kind of stood back and kind of almost stayed out of it in a way, and kind of known if I just stay quiet for long enough, he'll dirty his own bib, you know what I mean? And it was really funny to see all the Ronaldo fanboys today on social media. Like, they'd been giving out stink about the fact that he wasn't brought on and saying he was right to walk off early. And then it suddenly emerged, well, actually, they tried to bring him on and he refused to come on. So it was like, okay, like, no one has a leg to stand on here anymore, So, I said it even at the start of last season. I didn't think bringing him back was a good idea. I just thought that he's a spent force, and there's so much that goes with him on and off the pitch. You know what I mean? And
circus, innit?
It's a circus, and like he scored a reasonable amount of goals last season, but it's just that what you have to give up. Like Bruno isn't half the player when he's on the pitch with Ronaldo. He's almost like he sucks away everybody else's goals and assists and tries to hoover them up for himself, and everyone else has to work a bit harder to compensate for him. It messes up the whole balance of the team. So if he never played for United again, I'd be very happy. And you know, if I think the best outcome would be he goes off to the World Cup, bangs in a few goals against South Korea or Panama or somebody like that, and catches somebody's eye, and then maybe some Champions League team that wants a boost in the new year takes him in January. And I don't see Erik ten Hag being particularly upset about that, and I'd be absolutely delighted. That'd be a perfect outcome as far as I'm concerned. Even if it left United short for the second half of the season up front, I think it would still be worth it, and I think it would still be a net benefit to the squad as a whole. So I'm pretty happy with the way things have turned out, actually, because he basically, Ten Hag left him to hang himself, and he hung himself, you know, in predictable fashion in the end, you know.
And nobody wants him. That's the thing you say about people coming in for him. He had a shop window time, didn't he? And no one
and they shopped him. Like they tried Real Madrid, they tried PSG, they tried Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Chelsea. The Chelsea owner wanted him at one point, but Tuchel said, no. And Tuchel's a good manager. He understands what a player like that would do to the balance of his team. You know what I mean? And said, no, not a hope. And I think it was actually a source of tension between Tuchel and the owner in the end. You know, maybe that Chelsea owner would go in for him again, but I don't see him being a Graham Potter player really either. You know, so yeah, they tried everyone. They even went to kind of the next tier of clubs down, the likes of Borussia Dortmund, Napoli. You know, not the top clubs in Europe, but still big clubs. And they said no, you know. So Marseille, I think, was talked about at one point, and they said no. Like it's the problem is the wages it's $500,000 a week. And what are you getting for $500,000 a week? You know, it's and that's you know, it's, as I said, just nobody wanted him. And
he belongs on like retirement island, doesn't he? He belongs in like America, you know, earning stupid money to live in LA or something like that. You know what I mean? He seems destined to go play for LA Galaxy. I think they're still a team, you know, something like that. You know,
I mean, there's a reason he can't go to the MLS, but allegedly.
Exactly,
but yeah, it's
allegedly.
I thought I imagine he'd go back to Portugal, perhaps, like go play for one of his childhood clubs or something, one of his first clubs.
Lisbon.
Or I mean that'd be the way to go out, I suppose. He's tried it at United, not really to huge success, but as you say, like he could go score a couple for the World Cup and. Yeah, something like that. Apparently, there was a big deal on the table for him, and he didn't fancy it.
Saudi, wasn't it?
Saudi.
Yeah, I think it was from
Saudi,
like
but he said no to that. But that might be the only thing available to him, you know. Unless he's, and the thing is, like, Sporting Lisbon can't pay $500,000 a week. He'll have to take a monumental wage cut to go and pay for them. I'd imagine their top earning player is $50,000 a week max. You know, those clubs have a tiny budget, you know, so. Yeah, I don't care where he goes as long as he's out of. I had kind of resigned myself to the fact that we'd have to put up with him for the rest of this season. But like, if this means that's it, great, no problem, happy days.
Well, God help the idiot who drafted him in last week, whoever that was, and Ollie. Oh wait, that was me.
You're like his agent. You've been trying to flog him off all around the league now for the last.
I've been offering real cash, James. We were just talking about it before the show. Literally, it's come to this. It's getting so personal in this draft league. Garrett's giving me shit about it apparently being an easy fixture for him this weekend. Like, I'm going to start offering people real money. Like we were saying, how much do you reckon, Matty, it would take to get Haaland off him? I think, 40, 50 quid. I think he'd give me Haaland. This is how transfer fees started in the real world. It was just like, oh, you know what we can do? Just grease the wheel a little bit. I'm going to start doing that. It's going to happen and bringing it to FPL. Real cash.
Roman Abramovich of the FPL GRAPPL League.
I've been going around offering trades all over, but no one's going for it. But oh well, maybe I'll grease that wheel at some point and get him. But yeah, Will saying there knew he'd have his revenge on me. Yeah, that's I think Will had Ronaldo in his team early in the season as well. Problem is, there's no fucking strikers, especially in the draft. Yeah. It's like I'm looking at the dregs of who I could get in for him, and there's nobody there. Like there's no.
Others are always the ones that's the shortest. Yeah.
I would knee with from Notts Forest, but he even doesn't start now. You like than what
Brennan Rodgers, Brennan Johnson. isn't it?
Brendan Johnson now, yeah.
Because I dropped Eddie Nketiah back into the pool and picked up Danny Ings.
Yeah, I've
so
got Richarlison on the bench who's injured for about 3 or 4 weeks, but I just can't get rid of him because there's no fucker left.
No.
Brozier's the only one I'm looking at going. Yeah, and he's actually who I shipped off to get Ronaldo. So
just get him back in again.
Yeah, if no one else hoovers him up this week, I think he's coming back in my team. But yeah, how long before we get agents in the draft leagues? Lindsay says, if you want to make the offer, we could we'll introduce agents fees, all kinds. It's gonna get personal, this stuff. But yeah, it's messy. It's messy, but we'll be talking all that. I'll put like I say, Gareth made the counter offer to me for one of my transactions. I'll put that to use today. See what you think. I think Mr. Chips might be back without the chips. We can talk about all that when we review game week 11 and 12. But I will say before we get into our last couple of weeks, obviously things are still ongoing. What's the latest, Chris? Where are we? Anything happened while we've been on air? Any goals? Anything we should know about?
Nothing really. Leeds just had a good chance to. I think the Fulham game's finished 3-0 to Fulham. Mitrovic penalty, an own goal by Mings, and whoever scored the first. Oh, Harrison Reed scored the first. The Leicester Leeds game, 2-0 to Leicester. At the minute, Leeds just had a good chance, but it was saved by Mr. Clean Sheet himself, Danny Ward.
Gig. Yeah, that's a turnaround.
He's 4 games if he keeps this one.
Ridiculous. Look, Ben, all
he needed was just a couple of games to get him going, and now they look at him now.
That was like people looking at him on their benches and going, "I should be starting him." Like it's getting.
I was playing around on one of the prediction things earlier and optimized my team, and it put Danny Ward in net against Wolves ahead of Pope against Tottenham. Yeah. So I don't know.
Wolves don't score. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
4 goals all season.
Leicester are looking better here as well. I think they've played. I've only seen a bit of the first half, and I've been glancing at it in the second half here. But they seem to be playing a bit better.
What's the Amazon footage been like? The
I really like it. I think it's good. I was just saying, pre-show, like you're able to flick in between games, and they've staggered them so you can watch a whole half of one game and then watch a bit of the other instead of the halftime stuff and that sort of thing. I thought the goal show was all right.
Not quite red zone.
Sherwood. Yeah, it's because they show a lot of the game, so like the footage is almost like 3/4 of the screen, and then there's kind of a sidebar, and it just adds whichever person's speaking, and then some stats about the game above it, which is quite an interesting way to do it. So,
that's cool. Tim Sherwood got his classic delay on. Has he got remember that when he was the manager? He'd have a different one every week.
I'd never heard of the word gilet before Tim Sherwood.
Yeah,
they're everywhere now.
I don't know what I'd call it. I was aware of the type of jacket. I just called it a sleeveless jacket. Like it wasn't a gilet. When he came along, it became fashionable.
A body warmer. Yeah, that's a
body warmer. Yeah.
That's what I'd have thought. But yeah, it was weird. Just on the Ronaldo point, it was Sherwood yesterday just going, it's such a tragedy that Ronaldo's not getting any game time, this, that, the other. And then I flicked over to listen to the game, and Shearer was like, boy, Bruno Fernandes plays so much better than when he's on when Ronaldo's not on the pitch. It's just like, I wonder what's behind all that. Shearer's just like, just putting it out there while Ronaldo's not playing because it makes the team worse. So it's just
if Tim Sherwood has an opinion,
you can see which camp
to go the opposite way.
Yeah, that's it. You can see which camps certain players are in, like Evra and Rio Ferdinand are like Team Ronaldo. And you're just like, you're not even looking at, you're not even looking at the team, how they play. You're just going, he's my mate, he should be playing. He's Cristiano Ronaldo, he's going to do it, and he's it's not FIFA. It's not like
it's not wrestling. They're like old wrestlers, aren't they? Moaning about these young kids. old white wrestlers with podcasts going, these young kids who aren't selling properly. It's just that, isn't it? But it's on the telly.
Yeah. Well, there was apparently like Ronaldo said something to Elanga just before Elanga came on, and like that's why Elanga was quite poor when he originally came on, and then like after the game, Bruno Fernandes was saying something to him and all that. So he's definitely like. Yeah, I think as we say, he already said it's time for him to go. He should have never been there in the first place. Man City finessed them into signing him and ruining all their transfer plans. But, that's the big crossroads moment. Because for me, if they hadn't signed Ronaldo and they'd signed the midfielder they were looking at, you'd still probably have Ollie Solskjaer in charge.
Yeah.
And would Haaland be at City now?
Yeah,
No,
I
that's
was
it.
going to
It's
say,
like
we were in the chat before, sliding doors. Yeah, if they had Ronaldo, would they have done it? Like Haaland might never gone to City. Yeah, it'd be a different league, wouldn't it? Liverpool will be happier. But yeah, bad stuff. But yeah, hopefully anyone who's got Ronaldo in the team right now, definitely ship out. I would recommend that. But yeah, we're going to get into our game week 11 and 12 results. We'll keep this relatively brief this week. But as always, Jamesy's I'd say still sitting pretty at the top, but you've got a bit of competition coming, sneaking up behind you there, in Jordan Jamesy. We'll definitely be getting him back on at some point soon, I think, to talk us through that. Look at that, 722 to 723 on last check. I think that might have shifted a little bit as the live games go on, mate. But he's biting at your heels there, mate. And like you had a good couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's a good battle. I'm pretty sure there's still just a point in it because I think he had the same players playing tonight. I think he just had Andreas and Mitrovic basically tonight. So, yeah, good battle. Yeah, a funny couple of weeks, wasn't it? Like I don't think anybody did well last week, and then I think this week is kind of survival. Kind of get through this week with whatever team you can cobble together and get on the pitch and try to get out of it without having a big red arrow, and then move on to the last 4 weeks and kind of attack them a bit more.
Definitely. Like I think that game week 11 feels like 6 million years ago at this point. But do you remember how you did, Jamesy?
I'm looking at it now and I'm kind of thinking, Jesus, that it was only Saturday and Sunday gone, and it feels like it moves so fast, doesn't it? Like, and I can go through the team there, and as I said, we won't go through it in as much detail as we usually do. My savior of the week was my goalkeeper. I've been slagging him off since I bought him, basically, but 11-pointer. I think it was a 0-0 draw. Leicester against Crystal Palace.
Terrible match to watch.
I watched the first half, and then my daughter had training, and I had to bring her off, and I wasn't sorry to be leaving it behind, to be honest. But yeah, he got. I think he made a load of saves, and he got the 3 bonus points. A level, like basically that one game week justifies my signing of him now. Like if he only gets 2s and 3s for the rest of the weeks, that alone has probably justified bringing him in as a 4.5 million goalkeeper. You know. And like that was kind of it really for my game week. Mitrovic got a penalty for 7 points. Trippier, as per usual, that was the 0-0 with United, wasn't it? Newcastle that was the Sunday game, United against Newcastle. Trippier with the usual return. As we say it every week, Mr. Reliable. What a great asset. I think as of this morning, he was the highest scoring defender in the game now at this point. He's not getting any double figure returns or scoring goals or getting assists, but if he's not a clean sheet, he's a bonus point, 1 or 2 bonus points, 5, 6, 7s all over his record. Just Mr. Reliable, Mr. Consistent.
I never get on those players at the right time. I always miss them. Bring them in, and like the points just dry up. Like it's one of my successes this year. I got him like 4 game weeks away ago, and it's been great. Everyone's getting him. If you haven't got him, get him. Like there's no excuse.
He's at this point he's so highly owned. He's not doing anything for your rank if you have him. But if you don't have him, he's absolutely killing you every week, like, because he's just, he's one of the few defenders in the game that's actually consistently returning week in, week out. And then the rest of the week was a whole load of nothing, 2s and 3s across the board. Arsenal it was Saka scored for Arsenal, so didn't get any returns from them. Liverpool did a good job of keeping Haaland quiet for a 2-pointer. James Maddison is the fucking troll of the week. A blank. And then in the very, very last minute, the 1 week I really needed him to play in the week where I had 3 or 4 players going to be on my bench. Of course, he gets a yellow card for diving in the 93rd minute, and I think that's for that alone he joins the Villa players in my Troll Hall of Fame for this season. That's just so he'll be getting sold pretty quickly for that now, I tell you, or he's already been sold actually.
He deserved that yellow, didn't he? Like it was just, it was the most blatant. Like,
not even for a foul. To do it for a dive makes it worse almost. You know what I mean? It's like, if you kick someone or if you do a sliding tackle to stop a goal or something, you say fair enough. It's somewhat heroic, but if I can dive in the last minute, so yeah, that messed up all my plans for game week 12. Yeah, and as I said, that was pretty much it. The other story of the week was the benches. I think most people's bench, if 20 points on my bench this week, like Guay clean sheet, Andreas assist, Ward with a clean sheet as well. Like so if there was ever a week I should have done a bench boost, it was then. Yeah.
You did well there. Yeah, that would have been the one for it. But yeah, I was gonna say, like, I mean, we're gonna be getting into it with everyone's teams from that week. But yeah, a Haaland captain fail, like that's a rare sight, isn't it?
First time, really. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sad stuff, really. What was it with that game? Like, it was just Liverpool bossed them, didn't he? Like, what did Pep do wrong? Like, what? I mean, it didn't look like you were watching City. Like, I wish I put some money on it, because 5 minutes in, it was like this was a different City, and it felt like a different Liverpool.
Yeah, he tinkered again. It's the same thing he does in. I think it's cost him a few European Cups at this stage. He gets to the latter stages of the European Cup or some of these big games, and he'll have had a fairly tried and tested team, and then he'll come up with this mad formation, or he'll come up with this, he'll tweak it in some way. And I wouldn't even try to understand the complexities of the things Pep Guardiola does, but it just wasn't right. You know what I mean? And Liverpool, in fairness to them, played very, very well. They, the big talk before the game was that their high line would be crucified by Haaland. You know what I mean? But in fairness to them, they brought the defensive line back 10 or 20 yards. They played it like United did in the game against Liverpool earlier in the season. They said, look, we're going to have to bite the bullet here, sit back and defend deep, and hopefully catch them on the break. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what they did. They soaked up pressure, defended really solidly. In a way, maybe Trent being out was a bit of a blessing in disguise, because they had Milner playing at right back, who'll he'll do the dirty stuff. He'd be more willing to put his body on the line and hold the line and be less attacking and that kind of thing. So on that one game, he was probably the better player for the job. And at the end of the day, they got a goal on the break, from a corner kick. Big boost down the pitch, assist from Alisson. Can you believe it? And Salah got the goal. So yeah, it's just as a one-off game. I think Liverpool played it well, and Pep made a mess of it, really.
Yeah, it was the week where maybe we all should have gone differential on the captain, isn't it? And we all cowered. We didn't even really discuss it last week.
Going in, nobody expected a Liverpool defensive masterclass as the game kind of. Exactly. They stifled the game. Well. That's it. I mean, it was. Me and Andy watched it in a pub in Manchester, because we'd gone to see the Manchester women earlier in the day. Manchester City women, not just random women. So we'd gone to see. Manchester women. So we'd gone to see the City Manchester City women play earlier in the day, and then watch the men in the afternoon, sort of thing. And just a pub full of City fans that just couldn't get their head around the fact that Liverpool were tactically, better than City were that day. There was a couple of chances that Haaland, you'd have thought, on another day would have taken. But Salah got his chance, took it well. Although I did think it hit the post, the way that it bounced in and out, sort of thing. It was an odd bit. I think it hit the back bar, didn't it, of the goal or something, and just bounced straight out. But
I think when you see James Milner, he's set up to play at right back. I stuck a $5 on straight away on him getting booked. Expecting he's going to have a terrible time against it, but just kept everyone quiet. Apart from that offside goal, which Foden got, which I thought were a bit soft. It was, one of them. Where they could have give it, but it was the problem was like City were playing too far of an out, like you said, James, too far of a high line, and just the ball going over the top. And in a sprint race, Salah's rapid, isn't he? Yeah, getting through one goal, and you're always in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. And that was the
story. At least in the long run, it will keep the title race going a bit longer.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit narrower, doesn't it, for Arsenal? Maybe not for Liverpool. Yeah, exactly. But we'll see. But yeah, 43 weeks points for the game week for you, Jamesy, and then into this week. I'll give her a little refresh just in case things are ongoing as we speak. 53
I think that's it. So far,
game week 12. Is that your lot?
I think so. There might be a bonus point for Mitch. I'm not sure now, but yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nobody out on the pitch as we speak. Yeah, a good week, I think. I just felt like, blank game week. I ended up, because of Maddison, I ended up just fielding 10 players. I didn't feel it was worth selling Jesus, Martinelli, Cancelo, or Haaland for a week. Meaning I'd want them guys back straight away. So I said, look, I just leave it as it is. My two transfers were Maddison and KDB out, and Trossard and Salah in, which yielded nothing in the end. Unfortunately, I think it was the transfer most people made. I think the vast majority of people had Salah captain. Got the extra point for the clean sheet, but that was about it. So not much there. My big winners again. Trippier, clean sheet, 3 bonus points. As I said, we keep saying it, Mr. Reliable, Mr. 6 to 9 points every single week. Great asset. Dunk with the clean sheet and 2 bonus at home to Forest, which was brilliant. And then the surprise of the week was Neco Williams. I think any of us that had Neco Williams in the team were nearly half hoping that he'd be on the bench and come on for a 1-pointer, and you'd take that in case they got absolutely hammered by Brighton. In the end, in fairness, played the full 90 at right back and somehow got out of Brighton with a clean sheet. So he was probably the surprise of the week. Zaha, 8-pointer. It was funny in our group chat, myself and Jordan both owned Zaha. And we were literally having a right good moan to each other about how badly he'd been playing and how much of a moaner he is and how we can't wait to get rid of him. And then lo and behold, just as we'd press send on all our bitchy tweets, bang, he scores a goal. We're saying we must do that more often. We'll start pick on a player and start slagging him off. And so I'm claiming the assist for that goal anyway.
I was ready. I was with you. I was ready. I wanted him gone. Like it was just he's the reverse of what I said about Trippier before. Brought him in and he's done fuck all for 3 weeks. You know, especially after that week when I tried to bring him in at the deadline and couldn't get him in. I should have taken that as a hint and just never bothered.
I think he got an assist that week when you didn't get him as well. So it was like more painful for you. Like and we were just saying before we hit record, like he's apart from football skill and all that. He's a joyless fucker to watch playing football. Like you know the way when you're watching a match and you own a player who's in it, you'll be watching them more. And I put out a tweet during the week saying he's like that guy in your 5-a-side team who's a little bit better than everyone else, but ruins the whole experience because every time you misplace a pass, every time you do something wrong, he's fucking moaning at you and throwing his hands up in the air. And he's one of those players. He never got his big, like he got his big move to United early. It didn't work out. Ended up back at Palace, and you always suspect he's felt he's too good to be at Palace, but that no one has actually come in and spent the money on him. So he's got this chip on his shoulder when he plays, and he's a miserable fucker to watch playing football. He really is. But is he staying? I take those 8 points and I'll run. That'll do grand.
So let's see. So there we go. It's like a 2, a 3, an 8, a couple of 2s and 3s before that. He's got Everton away coming up, Southampton at home, West Ham away, Forest there for the last game week of this lot. I suppose you got to keep him now, haven't you? Like it's one of them.
Yeah, it's a dilemma. When we talk about transfers in a while, like the problem is at that 8 million position, there's some very tempting people. Like he's 7.5. You know, there's Foden, there's Saka. They're 2 guys I have my eye on. So and if I want one of those in my team, he probably has to go. So, to be honest, I'd rather be watching a nice lad like Saka play on the right wing for Arsenal, plays the game with a smile on his face, seems to enjoy his football, than watching that moany bastard playing every day on the left wing for fucking Palace.
But better baby face, it's a personality thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that was it. Then Mitrovic with another penalty, 2 penalties in a row for him. Got a 6-pointer for me tonight. And that was about it, really. Trossard was the big disappointment. Didn't do a whole lot for Brighton against Forest. He had a few shots. He hit the bar with a shot. There was another pass where he could have got an assist out of it. And that was pretty much it. Was disappointed. I had double Palace defence and they were playing Wolves. And I really thought I had a nice chance of a double clean sheet with them. And of all people, Adama Traore comes up with a header for Wolves to cost me my clean sheet. I definitely didn't see that one coming. So that was my big disappointment of the week. I was really hoping to I had planned with my wild card to have Guehi in the team specifically this week for that reason. So that was my one disappointment that clean sheet didn't come off, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm happy with that. That's a save point again. The 3 points. There's something about your keeper getting the bonus for a save point that makes it feel much, much better than just an 2-pointer. So it's just nice to get the 3, you know what I mean? Like if an outfield player gets the 3, you don't mind. When your keeper gets it, you feel like you've earned it a little bit. That's a good week. As I said, I was in this week to survive it, so to come out with 53 points, absolutely delighted. I think that should give me a bit of a green arrow, so we'll take that and run, to be honest.
That's it. And yeah, not many people have got points on the bench. Having Ward on the bench there, maybe one of the best scoring benches we'll look at today. So
yeah.
take it, mate. Take it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That could change anyway.
Very, very easily. But yeah, I suppose next up is me with my team going back to game week 11. It was 54 for me for 11. Overall, quite happy. I had a real panic when it came to the deadline. I mean, I think I was just still feeling it from the week before when I missed it, and I was leaving it close again. And I was like, I could hear my own voice from the podcast last time. Like, just don't leave it too long. What are you doing? Make a decision. I just couldn't decide what to do. I had a transfer burning a hole in my pocket, and it was just like, there was nothing I desperately wanted. I ended up with double Spurs defense. It was just, I think, honestly, like this, Gareth will give us grief for this, for taking the words of the pundits too hard. But I think it was literally, I was watching Planet FPL. James is a Spurs fan, and he brought Doherty in. And in the end, I was just like, you know what? If I can't make a clear decision on this, I'll just bring him in. And then I spent the last 5 minutes before the deadline going, oh no, but now I've got Doherty and Perisic. Do I want to play two Spurs defenders in one game? And when I brought him in, I kind of knew that. And I was actually planning on benching Perisic and playing Doherty. And I'm glad that in those 5 minutes, I made the wise decision to play them both, drop Gross, who's done absolutely nothing for me. He's going 100% going, especially with their fixtures coming up. And yeah, that was probably my favorite decision of the week was to not start Gross. But yeah, to run through my team quickly for podcast listeners, the Pope and Trippier combo worked out well for me in 11, 6 each from them. Perisic and Doherty 8 and 6. Cancelo on 2. Zaha on 3, but that would turn, like you said, Jamesy Martinelli on 3, De Bruyne on 2. That was maybe the other move I might have made, going early on switching De Bruyne to a premium like a Salah or a Son. But with the 2 game weeks done now, it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference, especially with on the Son route. So I can live with that. Jesus on 2. Tony coming in. Your mate, Andy, I'm sure we'll be talking about that. That was the Friday night game, wasn't it? It was the night after we recorded. Yeah. We were talking about that, which saying, if Brentford, Brighton are quite open these days. If Brentford get a goal, he'll probably be involved. He got both of them. I'll take that. Hating him this week, Andy?
Yeah.
Tony?
Tosser.
Is he coming back? That's the question.
No.
Bitter. Yeah, I was made up with him. He's staying in my squad. Made the same mistake, Haaland captain, but as far as mistakes go, you can take that, can't you? I think most people in the game did that. And yeah, bench, not much going on. Gross with nothing. Nico will come back in the next week. And yeah, Andreas Pereira with 5. I just wanted to shout him out quickly, quietly, between him and Nico Williams have been like, they're the types of players when the season's over, we're going to remember them, aren't we? Like, you might well remember, like, of course we'll remember like the Haaland Halls and, Tony maybe having a good year, Mitra having a good year. It's those lads, isn't it? It's those lads who cost you nothing. Who are I think at this point, it's not worth overthinking it, isn't it? Is it with your fifth midfielder? Everyone's got Andreas Pereira. Everyone's probably looked at it and gone, maybe I'll move him on. There's just no reason to. Every now and then he's going to get you a 5 or a 6 or maybe a 7 if you're lucky. An assist or a goal. You'll do, won't he? He's been. They've been
the IWC choices since the start, haven't they? Andreas and Nico.
They're the 2 that came in.
They're the 2 that came in.
That didn't, but there's 2 that came in.
Not Bailey.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, they were both probably underpriced, but they were at bigger teams before when FPL set the prices, didn't they? And then they both moved like from United and Liverpool to lower teams to get game time, sort of thing.
I always love that. Oh, and they've updated the picture. I think on my app, he's still in a United kit. He photoshopped that, I think. But yeah, I always love that when it's the wrong kit. Yeah.
40 points is a good haul there, isn't it?
What is it? I think it's a goal and 3 assists, isn't it? Like for in 10 games for 4.5 million. Like usually your 4.5 million midfielder who's on your bench. If you can find a guy that plays 90 minutes and gets you 2 points, that's usually the standard. Like, you know what I mean? So to have a guy who's 4 returns in 12, so basically returning kind of in a quarter of the game so far, that's like that's way above what you normally expect from your first sub. You know what I mean?
And I mean, even the game today, like there was a corner that he was on the edge of the box for that he took on the volley, and keeper saved it and pushed it wide, and then he took the consequent corner, put it straight onto Mitrovic's head and it was cleared off the line. So he's always there or thereabouts with looking at getting a return on something one way or the other. So
that was the dream today, wasn't it?
If you're ever
bit of a goal.
It's just if you're ever just in the spot where he's actually going to start for the team, I suppose is the thing, because with him being so cheap, you're going to have probably 3, if not 4, good solid midfielders that you'll play ahead of him, sort of thing. But, you know, if you're pumping your money elsewhere, if you're having 3 top line strikers and having him in midfield or something, it could work.
There's definitely a conversation to be had. Like even this week, I'm looking at it going, maybe I'm being silly benching him. You know what I mean? The defenders their fixtures look a little bit ropey. It's like, maybe I should take that risk. But then it's one of those risks, isn't it? You're not gonna get 15 from him, are you? He's not gonna get like a 19-point haul. It's gonna be 4 points, but it's starting to creep into my mind as a bit of a conversation. But yeah, like you say, as far as game week 12 goes, so today, nothing there from the like you say, the clean sheet point I'll take. He got 3, Mitrovic on 6, who was my transfer this week. Mitrovic and Salah, I brought in for a -4. Don't know, on the Salah captaincy this week. I feel like a lot of that's rep, and a lot of that's the money wrapped up in him. A lot of that's, well, Salah's my most expensive player, so I'll captain him. There's a lot of that, isn't there, in FPL, where like you'd almost be better off sometimes just looking at the players and just looking at what they're doing, form wise. Mitrovic arguably might have been a better captain choice than Salah. Not much in it in the end, but yeah, I felt a little bit like I made just the default decision there with that. So disappointed there. But yeah, Pope and goal again with 6. Trippier coming in, same as you, Jamesy. Perisic and Doherty, the double Spurs defense didn't do much, but yeah, Nico coming through, Gross doing nothing, Zaha making an argument to maybe sticking my team going forward, and not much from Tony in this week. But I was actually on the Salah point. I was a little bit surprised. It did seem like there were a lot of Salah captains out there, but maybe it was just our league. It didn't seem as universal as you'd maybe expect. It was unfortunate, to be honest, because a lot of people, I felt like a lot of people did try and go outside of that, and it just hasn't worked out, has it? A lot of 3-pointers, 2-pointers knocking around. It was a week for a gamble, but I'm not sure outside the people who went Mitrovic or Zaha, any of those gambles paid off.
What about that one who was in the top 10,000 who triple captain Ireland?
Oh no! Yeah. Is that your burner account?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not me.
I suppose it depends who they had as vice captain, because it could have just been bit of a joke thing. But even I don't think there was a good triple captain option outside of that. So yeah, it's not a week for it.
There was very much a lack of goals, weren't this midweek.
There's not many players got double-digit hauls that I can think of.
Unless you're a
goalkeepers. The goalkeepers have been cleaning up the last 2 weeks. Yeah.
I had a midfield Almiron got a 10.
Oh yeah. What did he get? 10 was it, or 11?
10, yeah.
10, yeah.
That's it.
I think Kane was the other captain after Salah. I think if you owned Kane, United away, you mightn't trust the United defence to keep a clean sheet. I wouldn't say that was... If he was your premium player that you had on the pitch and you didn't have Salah, I probably would have stuck it on Kane. Just, again, like you said, Benno, more for the fact that he's Harry Kane than anything else. But I think the one we all missed on was Trippier. If we had all been a bit braver and saw the potential for a clean sheet and bonus points there, maybe he was the one to go for. But
then again, another option people were putting out there were Trossard against Forest. He's been a troll. Trossard.
150,000 transfers out today for him so far. A lot of people rage transfer.
He's gone out of my teams very, very soon, I tell you. Yeah, he was just a 1 week punt and nothing else. But you bring him in for Forest, and like he did, he hit the bar with a shot. He passed one into Danny Welbeck. If Danny Welbeck had been able to hit the side of a bloody barn with a shot, he would have scored as well. So he could easily have had a 12-15 pointer. You know what I mean? So it's fine margins. You know what I mean? You're picking a fixture and you're targeting it. What can you do?
Yeah, it was incredibly frustrating watching that Brighton Forest game. It was just like, will Brighton put one of these chances away so I can stop watching? It just never happened.
They're so annoying to watch. Yeah, they're just so intricate. They just overdo it on the edge of the box, and they're like, someone just swing a boot at it, have a shot. You never know what'll happen if you swing your boot at a shot. It might take a deflection, like Fred last night. You know what I mean? United took so many shots that by the law of averages, eventually one takes a deflection and goes in.
It's like
I think Trossard was out as a left wing back as well, wasn't he? And I was kind of hoping that he'd play through the middle again. But
yeah.
I saw a lot of somebody say that. It was like, everyone's sitting there watching Brighton versus Nottingham Forest like it's the Champions League final purely for FPL. That's the only reason anyone's got that game on. Like,
yeah.
Unless you live in one of those places. 100%. But yeah, skip it over to you, Chris. This is your game week 11 team. We'll go to your game week 12 in a second. But yeah, talk us through how you did.
Yeah, so 53 points overall with -4 for making 2 transfers, because thought to take out Trent because it sounded like the news was really bad on Trent, and then he's already back playing. So I don't quite know what happened there. But yeah, Trent and James both left. Anderson came in and Eric Dyer came in. We kind of went through it all last week, but it was kind of coming down to one of the Brighton defenders, either Dunk or Webster, one of the Palace defenders, or Gueye or Anderson, and then Dyer as somebody that I have in quite a few teams and have had over the years. So I ended up going with Anderson, which was the right choice over the Brighton defenders. But I thought, Gueye ended up 2 points better than him because Anderson got booked and Gueye picked up an extra point. So yeah, a little disappointing on there. But I'll just run through it. So Pope clean sheeting goal for 6 points. Cancelo just with the 2 points because they lost that one to Liverpool. Anderson, as I say, they got the clean sheet, but he picked up the yellow card, so only on 5. Perisic got 8 with the clean sheet and 2 bonus points. Dyer just with 6 with the clean sheet. So solid from the back line. You take that sort of result every week. Midfield really just let it down. Martinelli just with the 3 for the clean sheet. There Zaha again, clean sheet and over 60 minutes. Madison, as we've discussed, just kind of ruined a lot of plans there that I had and forced an additional transfer the following week, which wasn't ideal. Front line, Haaland and Jesus didn't return. Tony got 2 on the Friday night when I was kind of like thinking it was going to be a big week, but kind of ended up middle of the road. Nothing really worth discussing on the bench that we haven't already. So yeah, let's say 53 overall with a -4 did take me up about 500,000 places from where I was. I think it put me up into just under into like the 4.5s or something, I think, which is where I still kind of am at the moment. And then on the game week 2, so as it stands, 46 points with a -8, so going down to 38 on there. With the transfers on that one, I was just planning on doing Maddison to Trossard and Jesus to Kane, and then all day long on the transfer day, I was just like, I should really just get rid of St. Maximin and bring in Almiron, because it's always like that. The bit that you see on FPL Twitter circles where people say, well, if it's a blank game week, it's only really a -2 instead of a -4 for getting rid of a player because they're not going to play anyway. So I've just ended up talking myself into getting Almiron, which is pretty good because it ended up saving saving the game week. Yeah. So if I'd have only done Almiron out and not brought Trossard in, it'd have been a much better play. But Trossard was always, I think, the play that people were making that week with the Forest game coming up. So yeah, just to run through that, I think we've touched on most of the players there. But Pope again, clean sheet for 6. Necker Williams with the clean sheet for Forest. Anderson just with the 2 because they conceded to Wolves somehow. Perisic and Dyer. I mean, no need to go into that game too much, but Spurs just didn't turn up, and having 3 Spurs players in the team was very, very poor for the overall.
You would have thought that Kane captaincy would have came in. Like I was, Andy was right in the end because I was bullish in the chat about Spurs assets for this week, thinking, you never know, United, it won't be the easiest game in the world, but I honestly wanted to bring Son in because I just thought there'll be a couple of goals in that for Spurs, but it didn't happen.
Didn't even feel like Spurs had much of a shout in the game. I think United just handled them quite easily for the most part. It was very disappointing out, particularly when they went 1-0 down and they just kind of stayed in the shell sort of thing. There was never a bit where you thought, Spurs are pushing for it. Like maybe they went there and went, we'll just get a draw and that'll be fine. But once you're 1-0 down, that plan kind of goes out the window, particularly when you've got Son and Kane playing up front and that sort of thing. So yeah, very disappointing overall. Almiron is in great form at the minute, so another goal for him. So the 10 points on that one. Zaha, as we've discussed, he got a goal. Trossard and Andreas with 3 each. Tony with 2, and that was it. really, and then just the boys on the bench that will be coming back into the team next week. Yeah.
Looks like we all did pretty much the same thing, didn't it? With the exception of you, James. Yeah, Haaland, Martinelli, Cancelo. They were the ones to hold, weren't they? They were the ones you were losing the least money on.
We discussed it a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, when we were planning out for the next few weeks? But you don't want to lose the value that you've had in those players.
No.
That's why I got rid of Jesus, because he was 8 million now. He'll be 8 million in a couple of weeks when I bring him back in for Tony.
Same.
So yeah,
it was weird seeing like the FPL alerts accounts and stuff. I have that set for alerts on Twitter. So every night at about 2 a.m, I get a notification of the price rises and the price falls. And just seeing Haaland's name among the price falls just felt wrong. It was just I guess a lot of people did get rid. I hope it was people who got him in recently rather than people who had them from the start, because a lot of money to lose there.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I did that last year, I think, when I was just playing around with a wild card, and I ended up moving Salah out for some reason. I just ended up losing like 0.6 worth of value in the team, and I was just like, oh, what an idiot. So I mean, that can be a bit of a killer later on in the year, sort of thing. But I mean, this year maybe not, because everybody seems so underpriced, and all the biggest names aren't particularly firing on all cylinders. You'll still be able to have a good team if you've got fairly low value, but we'll see.
That's it. Well, there you go. There's your 2 weeks, Andy. We go over to you, mate. Game week 11. The -4 you took there, 38 in the end. That bench burning a hole in your pocket. That's the thing.
You can tell there. Rank 8.5 million. What an absolute dog shit week that were. Honestly, I was toying between sticking Raya in, and then I thought, Brighton, I think, because they're a very attacking team, they might get 1 or 2. It's the thought of when the Newcastle beat Brentford the other week 5-1. It was just that put me off. But lo and behold, looking clean sheet for Raya. It just happens, doesn't it? It's just when you look, it's not in, it's not in. Trippier we've discussed, excellent player. Gueye, nice to get 7 points instead of a -1 for a yellow card for a change.
Bonus as well, look at that.
Yeah. Cucurella, I stuck in for Reece James, and then he got hauled off after 45 minutes, so my clean sheet had pissed off.
I've got to say, I think Reece James being out for at least this part of the season was that was the end of Big at the Back, wasn't it, Chris? That was it. That was the nail in that coffin. It's done. It doesn't exist anymore. It's just Trent as well. That's
the thing. I mean, it'll be back in vogue after the World Cup or something, when people start basically from scratch, and you can do what you like, sort of thing. Everyone, they can't be that bad for the whole season or something. But yeah, it certainly feels like it's done for the remainder of this year.
Martinelli 3 points. Arsenal had a very tough game, didn't they? They give away a penalty which I think Bamford missed, and then nearly chucked it away in the last minute. So to get 3 points out of Martinelli from a fixture they didn't really do well in, I think it's a good return. De Bruyne went missing in that Liverpool game. Didn't hear him mentioned once, really. So 2 points for him. Zaha, I probably expected him to get a goal against, who was it now? Leicester. But I would probably say him as Jay when we were chatting with Jamesy earlier. I watched the first 45 minutes in the pub in Rochdale before the Rochdale game. And I'm glad I didn't see the rest of it, because the first 45 bored me to tears. Rashford, he come on for Ronaldo, didn't he? I know he had a couple of chances from what I seen of the highlights, so a bit unlucky to only get the 1 point there. Mitrovic, I guess, softened the blow of Tony's transfer for me. I think it was looking at Tony's games coming up. I thought, Mitrovic has probably got easier ones. I were hoping he was fit for this week, which he was. So he got, I think, 5 points less than Tony. So not too bad in the end. Jesus only 2 points, and obviously Haaland 4 for the captain. The bench, bloody hell, 20 points there. Raya, who I mentioned. Harrison. I I think I stuck him back in a couple of weeks ago, thinking, oh, he might perk up a bit. But I was reading a stat tonight. Leeds have got 2 points out of the last 21.
Wow.
He could be on borrowed time, old Ted Lasso.
He is so cringe, isn't he? It's just he's so performative.
Yeah, he could be out with Gerrard soon. Share, bit of a shame I didn't have him instead of Cucurella, because obviously they had the harder game, Newcastle, but another clean sheet for him. They're doing well at clean sheets, aren't they? Newcastle very strong at the back. Dan Burns doing great for me in my draft team as well. But yeah, as I said, 38 points, game week 11, a week to forget.
Yeah, that's it. Well, a little bit better for you in game week 12, mate. Mr. Chips was back though. Big point hits. Was that a rage thing? Was it just fuck them? I'm making some changes here. I'm ringing them in. You're all out.
Right. So originally, all I was taking out was De Bruyne for Mo Salah. Having seen him against City on Sunday, I thought, oh, Salah's back to form here. And got a few good games coming up. West Ham and Nottingham Forest at weekend. I think it's the main one. But yeah, so it was a moment. I think it was a moment maybe on Monday. I went to the toilet at work. I thought, fuck it, I'll use it. I'll do another -8.
We're all about
toilet management.
Yeah. That's where the managers do all the best business or the thinking.
You go to think.
Yeah. Tactical shit. So I took Cucurella out and put who did I put in? I put
Perisic.
So Perisic I put in, Harrison I took out, put Trossard in, and obviously I took Reece James out and put Joe Gomez in because I thought, Trent's out for about 2 or 3 weeks. I'll stick him in because I know he was playing. He was man of match on Sunday, so glad to see him get a game this week as well. So just to run down for the wonderful listeners out there. So Raya, 10 points. Thank God I had him in this. Thank God I had him in this week. I expected saves against Chelsea. I will say that, but to get a clean sheet, that is a lovely bonus there. A lot of the lower keepers did well this week, didn't they? Raya, Sarr, Guaita, they were your ones. Allison, yeah.
29 points in 2 weeks, yeah.
No, Louis Dango said he's one of the 5 best players in the world, apparently, now, based on that game. His football takes are as good as his wrestling takes. Anywho.
Tim Sherwood of Wrestling Twitter.
He definitely owns a G-Lay.
Trippier, 9 points, the lad. Just keep him in it. I think, like you're saying, he's the top scoring defender just above Cancelo, which is saying something, isn't it? When Cancelo obviously gets quite a few goals. Gay, he was getting 2 points, and then he got his obligatory yellow card for the game. He's probably going to be suspended soon, that lad. I'm keeping him in because he did me a good turn last season. So
how many yellows is he on? Do you know? Is he at the 4 point yet? 3 or 4?
He must be about 3 or 4. He must be one away from a suspension. Perisic, they were rumoured, weren't they, playing him in a front three with Son and Kane? I thought, I'll stick him in. He might do something. Lo and behold, 1 point. But I'll keep him in just for now. Shah, good clean sheet. That Gomez, good lad. I'm going to keep him as well for the upcoming week against Forest. I think he was playing centre half with Van Dijk, so I was thinking because like Trent's back now, I was like, oh no, he's going to be pushed out. But to see he was playing centre half, they might be in permanently instead of like your Matips and that. Who else were the Trossard? I expected some goals there from him, but You know what? Since everyone's put him in over the last 2 weeks, he's gone shit. Since he got that,
It's always the way.
it's just one of them plays. You expecting him to get points, and he's not done anything.
No.
Zaha, I was punching the air on my way home from Rochdale and Salford on a Tuesday night. Not just because we got an equaliser and then lost on penalties, typical Rochdale, but Zaha actually getting a goal. Like, yes, fucking some points at last. Rashford, 3 points ain't too bad for him. Salah, disappointment, but I think in general a lot of people were putting him in, weren't they? So
even if it was just for a punt, it was that. I think with Salah though as well, we got to forgive ourselves. You know, West Ham at home, you thought he would have done something, but then it's this weekend. It's Forest away.
Forest and Leeds. Yeah.
Probably won't be confident enough to captain him, but you would think we're getting something out. Was he out on the wing again? Is that what it was? Is that the?
I think he was. Yeah, like Darwin and Firmino up front. It seems to be like the two main central players now. Mitrovic penalty. What a man. Happy with him. He's probably get a couple of bonus points as well on top of that. So that'll be like 60 points. It's to see top 500,000 this week for the game week. I'm like a pig in shit.
We'll get the updated league tables before the end. Hopefully it'll be climbing, mate.
But no one on the obviously coming off the bench because you don't want to get shut of Alan, Jesus, and Martinelli as we discussed with the price rises. So I'm sort of glad finally one of my gambles has pulled off this week with the minuses. But just see how we go.
It was a week for it. A lot of people went free hit, didn't they? I saw earlier in the chat, Rian saying he went free hit, worked out a treat. All through back three, getting clean sheets and bonuses. Harvey Barnes and Mitro, like that's a good free hit. I saw sort of a few other people who went for it who were lower than the average. I'm not sure if it was a good week to free hit or not, Chris, but obviously it worked out for the likes of Rian. I think it was a week for points hits, wasn't it? It was, the differences were negligible. Everyone seems to be bottlenecked in that like 40 to 60 range, somewhere in there. There's no crazy big scores. There's no crazy low scores. It's just one of those weeks, isn't it?
I think the psychology this week, Benno, was basically fretting about this game week 12 more than the game week 12 because of
and we do that.
Everyone's going to have 3 Arsenal players or 3 City players like taking up half your squad now because they're that good and they're going to get you points. So it's just try to work around it and see if you get out the other side with at least 40 or 50 points, which is you would say the decent haul this week that you're going to get.
I think it's a dangerous game, isn't it, Chris? Like, I think we've done it, like, doing these streams. You're just thinking, game week 12. And now it's come and gone. Like, wasn't much, was it? It was just a game week. We probably should have been thinking further forward.
Well, I think that's part of it, though. So, knowing how you were going into 12, I think then you can kind of build on it for 30. Like, I was going through things last week, and I've had a look again today, and I'm quite happy of where the team is at this point. I've taken a couple more hits than I'd have wanted to, but that's with the Maddison injury and that sort of thing. But it's not worked too bad. I'm just trying to see if I can find Ryan's team. Oh, there you go.
That'd be interesting to see.
He got 65 overall. So I'll just read his team out with his free hits. So Sanchez in net, Trippier, Trent, and Dunk in defence. So a 9, an 8, and an 8 there. Salah as captain, didn't go off, but there was Zaha, Trossard, and Harvey Barnes in midfield. Aubameyang, Mitrovic, and Kane up top. So I mean, the only bit really like Neco Williams and Andreas on the bench. If Neco had have come on for maybe Trossard or Aubameyang, obviously he'd have a bit better there. But I mean, 65 points off free hit. I don't think you're gonna complain at that too much.
No.
Yeah, it's particularly from where.
What do you reckon the premium use is of a free hit, Chris? Is it defending against blanks or is it going for doubles? Because that was kind of the conversation last season, wasn't it? Like, I went heavy. I just held it for doubles, and then in the end, there was a couple of blanks where I'd taken like 12, and I think there was one where I took a 16-point hit because you kid yourself. You go, well, actually, it's technically only a 6-point hit because if the other players get 2 points, then I'm 2 points better off than I would be with a 0. And it's like, well, yeah, but it also like you're kind of making that up, aren't you? Because if you if you're taking a free hit, you wouldn't take minus anything.
That's
you get into those games.
I think it's something that you'd use for when there's a lull in fixtures, like a break in a couple of fixtures, or like you say, a double game week you can target. So if you can kind of leave it for that, the later you can leave it, the obviously the more data you'll get. But I mean, in this case with Rian's one, I think it's worked well for him. I mean, looking at his team the previous week, looks like he only has 4 players from Chelsea and City, so he'd have probably been able to squeeze by with that, because he does have quite a few of the players that he had there. So I think it might have worked either way for him, depending on obviously the transfer he made. But yeah, I mean, if it's looks like it's more of a, I'm just trying to top the points of what I'm looking at, but it looks like he got more points from this free hit than he would have done without using the free hit. So I guess that's a benefit overall, and it's put him up to this game weeks. He's in just outside the top 500,000 for the game week, so he should see a big boost. It looks like he's jumped up the GRAPPL table quite a bit. So yeah, I think that's paid off. I mean, personally, I'll save that for the second half of the season when the fixtures either get congested or you start missing games for Europe and that sort of thing, and then you can kind of target. I think we've already said there's a Man City target of one of their game weeks where they'll be playing like Brentford and Bournemouth probably in one game week or something. You might be able to target that with and that sort of thing for your free hit. So.
What about you, Jamesy? You are like you are a sword or a shield man when it comes to that stuff? You're defending, going for you holding on for a good blank, or is it going to be a double? That's with circumstances, isn't it? Like last year, there were loads of options. We got 2 of them last season as well, didn't we? And I think that made people devalue them a little bit, just kind of throw them out there when it can be a good chip.
It is, yeah. I always think the best use is on the weekend when either the cup semi-finals or quarter-finals are on, because they'll still play Premier League games, but like the chances are most of the top teams in the country will still be in the cup. So like you could think about it, you could come into a game week next April where maybe Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and say Chelsea all don't have a game. You know what I mean? And look at your team now, and what would you have? We were thinking about a free hit just because Arsenal and Man City weren't playing. Now throw in Liverpool, throw in all the top, like they'll most likely be in the latter stages of the FA Cup. So like you could have a game week where there's only maybe 3, 4, 5 games on in the Premier League, and then you could be looking at only having 2 or 3 players on the pitch. So maybe that's a better use of it. There is going to be this big. Like, we don't know yet what's going to happen with the fixtures, but there's that whole game week that was called off for the Queen's death. Is that just going to be thrown into another game week where you have 20 games? And would that be, if you knew there were 20 games on, would that be a good time to play a free hit? Or would that be a good time to just play all your players because they all have 2 games? You know what I mean? So it depends. You can't just say as a general rule one is better, because it depends on your team. You know what I mean? If you were in a blank game week and you had 10 players playing, you probably wouldn't use it. But if you have 2 or 3, like there were people this week that might have still had 4 or 5 City and Arsenal players. They might still have had James in their team. They might have had Patterson as one of their bench players. They might have been worried about Neco Williams. So they could have been looking at 4 or 5 players been on the pitch. You know what I mean? So in that situation, I can see why you'd be justified in using it. You know what I mean? So it's team dependent and it's situation dependent. I do find most seasons it's that FA Cup quarter-final or semi-final weekend I end up using it. But as I said, there will be different circumstances this year. And as I said, maybe we'll see what happens. They might also break up that game week that was cancelled and put 3 games in 1 week. So we could end up with 5 or 6 double game weeks in the new year. You know what I mean? In which case, you could find a nice week where you go, God, if I had a free hit here, I could really target,
I also
Liverpool might have 2 nice fixtures and City might have 2 nice fixtures. You go, right, load up on their players. So it depends. You can't say yet. You need to see what the fixtures will be.
I also do like leaving it for the very last week if you need a big roll of the dice to try and get up somewhere or something, that sort of thing. I was contemplating that. I was contemplating that last year when I was, having a better season, and I ended up using the free hit in like 33 or 34 instead of saving it for 36 or 37 like everybody else was, because I was trying to get ahead of a swing. But also in my head at that time, I was like, what if I just leave it for the last week and then I just know what to attack, because you know which teams are playing for something, and you can go, I can get 3 players in from this team who are already playing a relegated team or something like that. So I think it's better the longer you leave it. But I think if you use it early on, it's like the triple captainship, isn't it? If you use it early on a game where Haaland scores a hat-trick, what's it matter? You know, if he scores a hat-trick in one game, or he plays 2 games and he gets 3 goals, it's the same thing.
That's the thing. And it's like, there are still chips lying around. Like Carl was asking us in our group chat, he was still holding on to his wild card, and we were saying, so the best strategy for that was go dead end this week, chip out whoever you fancy. Yeah, knowing you can start a fresh going forward. Just seeing a doctor in the chat, 55 points, good week. I'd take that. Yeah, that's kind of, it seems to be on the positive end of it. Good to see Chris Elliott knocking about as well. Fellow United fan, I'm sure he's happy with the. No, he's happy with the Ronaldo news as well today. I tried to offer him a trade. I offered him Ronaldo for Calvert-Lewin. He didn't go for it. If I'd offered that 2 days ago, though, I might have got somewhere. Oh well, I was shocked in the draft. I just assumed no one would have Calvert-Lewin anymore, and there he was. He was in Chris's squad. Oh well,
he's always that's the issue with him. He's always injured.
Me with Diaz, I've got Diaz sat there with a red flag on his name, still taking off his lads when we get to the draft. I'm just saying, anyone wants. No? Okay, fair enough. Well, I mean, looking at forward planning, I know Chris, you've got a couple of players we want to have a look at, but obviously, for planning's sake, and for people like Carl on a wild card, and just in general. It's only the 4-week window to look at this point, lads. It's getting tight. Obviously, after that, we'll have the Winter World Cup break, and we'll all get a fresh wild card for the next part of the season. But who kind of takes your fancy as far as the upcoming weeks go? Expected points wise, Hub have West Ham and City at the top there. Everton, Spurs, Liverpool. Sitting pretty as well. Leicester's fixtures right at the bottom. A lot of red there for them. Although I don't think Wolves away is necessarily as bad as it's flagged there. Brighton on the lower end. Who are we looking at, lads? Anyone stand out there?
You look at Man City, don't you? Straight away.
Colours don't matter, do they, with City? Could all be red. It'd be fine.
They could stand out some thumpings there. I do feel if Brighton play as open as they do, hopefully they're going to be torn a new arsehole on Saturday, aren't they?
De Zerbi's already come out and said he's not changing his plans. Just because
he's a fundamentalist. He's just gonna.
So I mean, we'll get to it in a bit, but my plan's to bring in a City player straight away. I mean, I've already done it. So brought in Foden for Trossard, because I can see that swing on that.
Tottenham defence with Newcastle, Bournemouth, Dirty Leeds as well. There should be some 6 pointers there if you like Eric Dyer and maybe like your Perisic and Doherty's of this world.
I'd have to do some more looking into it, but I do. There's probably. I mean, it's probably just going to be Bowen, isn't it, from West Ham? But I mean, I do. I've previously had Ben Rama in teams. He's usually quite good for points. I was going to say Skamaka, if he's taking the forward slot, as he seems to be getting more and more game time there. And I think was it Emerson?
There's a nice flip you can do
for a while.
There's a nice flip you can do if you're a Mitrovic owner. If you look at Fulham have in 13, Fulham have Leeds, 14 Everton. So hold on to Mitrovic, and then it turns for them in 15. There's Man City and United. So you could drop Mitrovic and then switch to Skamaka. And if you look at West Ham, then Crystal Palace and Leicester at home in their last 2 before the World Cup. I think that's a nice little.
Do you think though,
players there.
Jamesy, with Mitrovic, I could see him giving Man United's defenders a hard time.
Yeah, true.
Proper. I know they always say about you like Martinez and obviously his height and that, but it seemed like Mitrovic, he's a bit of a bully more than say what like Haaland is up front and what have you.
The problem is there's Man City before it, so
it's
City away before it, like, you know what I mean. So I just think switching him to Skamaka is a nice easy transfer for 15.
I think just
you're
looking at
getting nice
those
fixtures for the 4 of those. Then
looking at those Everton fixtures, like
Yeah.
Anthony Gordon. Now that he's served his suspension, I mean, he's not going to get suspended again unless he gets sent off. But
Connor
and
Cody.
that could always happen. But I mean, you're looking at Palace at home, Fulham away, Leicester at home, Bournemouth away. Everton assets could be quite good there. Whether it's Milenko, is that his name? Mikalenko. Yeah, he's decent. I don't think Patterson's back yet, but
he's out for a bit.
They seem quite. I was going to say Connor Cody or Tarkovsky. They're fairly solid. So I mean, if you've picking up a 4-4 or a 5th.
Chelsea's
Cody's great for the bonus points as well.
Chelsea's got hard games, aren't they? Bloody United, Brighton, Arsenal, and Newcastle.
I don't think Arsenal so. Sometimes I look at these rankings and I wonder what they're thinking, because if you look at Arsenal, Southampton, Forest, and I know there's Chelsea away in the 3rd one, but they've Southampton, Forest, and Wolves.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I mean, if you if Benno clicks on where it says attack instead of points, Arsenal fly up towards the top of the league. So that's more of the points you're expecting.
I think
them
it's
to get
because it's 3 away games as well. I think they weight heavily towards home games. Like there's somebody there has 3 home games in the next 4. I think is it City.
Yeah,
City there. City's fixtures are fantastic.
I think they score 3 or more always at home, don't they?
Hammer teams. The big dilemma this week is I think most managers would like to have both Foden and Saka in the next couple of weeks. But the dilemma I have is I'm going to do one of them this week and then one the following week. But who do you go for first? Because City have Brighton, who are a good team, but it's City at home. And City at home are absolute monsters. Like they're putting, as you said, Andy, 3 or 4 past everybody. But then you look at Arsenal, they've got Southampton away, and Southampton are great, So I can't. Which is a better fixture, Brighton at home for Man City, or Southampton away for Arsenal? I'm slightly leaning towards Foden, to be honest, but there's not a lot in it. I keep changing I don't know what to do. I keep changing my mind.
I made the call early with going for thinking it'd be Foden would be the better option, and I've watched a few people's videos today, and it is very tight. It'll be a coin flip decision.
There's nothing in it.
But for me, I think it'll be Foden, and then bring your Arsenal asset in next week. For me, it's probably going to be Jesus or Odegaard, depending on how the transfers and the money works out. But I don't think I can get Saka in the midfield. But I think for me, it'd be a City asset this week and then an Arsenal asset game week 14.
I would say
-4 and do both.
Week 14 there. If you're thinking like captain options and what have you, bloody hell, it's a tough choice. So City's got Leicester away there. So you Haaland. But look at Liverpool, who've got Leeds, Salah. Arsenal's got Forest, you Jesus.
As well,
got Bournemouth, so you Kane and Son. So there's going to be a lot of different variations going on captain.
Some people will chance it, won't they? That'll be the week where people will try and break from the pack a little bit, I'd say.
Haaland will only be 70% captain.
He'll still be above 100. Who we kidding? Captain, because that's it. Once you count the captaincy, doesn't it, and the triple captains, he'll still end up at that, despite not everyone even having him. That's just where he is at this point, isn't it? But I kind of agree with that. I think obviously based on looking at attack, I think Foden's definitely a consideration for me. It was booked in that transfer. Foden coming in, I was going to keep Salah for 2 weeks. I can't get rid of Salah with this Forest game. But then at the end, Brighton at home feels just as tasty, doesn't it, for City with the way Brighton are playing? Like you're saying, it's going to be such an open game. Like Foden or maybe I'll regret. That's the week where I'll regret getting De Bruyne out for Salah. But can I get rid of Salah against Forest? It's going to be tough. I think I'll end up rolling this week based on that. But there's certainly
I think the thing with Foden and Saka is, and I know that Foden's played all the games so far this year, but there is still the chance that he doesn't play or doesn't start, and Saka is nailed to start. And Foden's obviously been much more nailed this year than he has others, but there is still that chance that he perhaps gets rested for Mahrez or whomever. And
especially after defeat, he might kind of say, "Look, I'm resting 4 or 5 of you now."
Yeah, I mean, but City usually come back all guns blazing after a defeat. So particularly one like that where I think everybody was a bit enraged. So Brighton could be on for a hide into nothing. But
and they've had a rest as well in the midweek, so like they're
yeah, that's it. Like Arsenal have played tonight, and City have just had the whole week off. It's just
that makes a big difference.
Foden it is now.
Decided, didn't it? Yeah.
Old.
There are some teams, aren't there, who played like tonight and played yesterday. We're like back at it on Saturday. Like it's I expect that's the other thing. Expect rotation this weekend. I think I would if you haven't seen it already with your players. It's happening this weekend. You just kind of got to accept it, haven't you? And rely on the squad a little.
That's why you need a playing bench. That's what I've been going for most of the season. Yeah, even if it's just Neco Williams and Andreas, and then another sort of thing. It's not too bad.
Jacob Murphy.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's going to get
every week.
Still playing, yeah. Yeah, that 1 week though where he scored. It's not happening again. Like I had a little bit of it hurt to get rid of him. It was like, oh, I quite like him, like propping up the bench third place. And then when Zaha did fuck all, I was like, should just kept fucking Jacob Murphy. But yeah, at least Zaha there's the possibility of points. I think that's the difference, even if you can rely on Murphy for starts now. But yeah, Chris, there was a few players we were going to have a look at. A few by request, a few you were maybe.
Well, they're just ones Jamesy just wanted to have a look at. I did send you the notes. I don't know if you've got them.
Oh, right. Do you want me to throw them up, or can you throw them up?
Yeah, I'm just on my phone, so I can't share my screen. Although I could log in on my laptop. But,
no worries. Yeah. I'll bring them up.
Well, yeah, James are these people you were looking at bringing in?
Just people. I was kind of thinking about differentials, and I know Andy brought in Granit Xhaka. You've brought him in, haven't you, Andy?
Yeah. But I've just stuck him on the bench at the moment.
He did score tonight as well, Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, he's 5.1.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. It's almost, the way we're talking about Foden and Saka. It's almost possible if you have a little bit of money in the bank to not go Saka. So to get Foden if you want him, instead of getting Saka, get Xhaka, which is a bit of a tongue twister in itself. Do the Shaka Zaka. Then you nearly have enough to upgrade Mitrovic, or in my team you have enough to upgrade Mitrovic to Kane and go. You'd have Kane, Salah, and Haaland for the last 4 weeks. Which is a tasty enough prospect. And I just anytime I watch Arsenal, I see Xhaka right up, like, in my mind, traditionally, he's always been a kind of a defensive midfielder. He'd kind of been sitting there in a double pivot, making tackles and breaking up play, and not really an option in FPL. But this year, and last year as well, he's kind of playing more of a 4-3-3 for Arsenal, and he's playing as the left-hand attacking 8. And as you can see from the heat map there, like, he's in the box, he's right up on the edge of the box, he's taking shots.
Scored tonight as well.
Scored tonight in Europe for them, yeah. He scored 2 or 3 this season. He's made a few assists. He's in the box all the time. Like, there's a chance he'll win penalties and that kind of thing. Like, for 5.1, you're basically getting an attacking midfielder in the second best, if not the best attacking team in the whole league. So it's just a nice little differential for people to think about. I think you have him in the draft, haven't you, Benno? And he's served you pretty well.
Yeah, I brought him in relatively early on, and kind of didn't expect much. It was just more he filled the gap of Arsenal were in form, and he was an Arsenal player that nobody had. And yeah, it's worked out well. He's 6s and 7s, and not game changing, but a consistent little earner for me so far this season, I'd say.
Yeah, I think we mentioned it early on, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly. And given that it's a 4-week run now, you know what I mean? If you want an enabler and you would like to maybe upgrade one of your strikers to Haaland, or you want, you didn't have enough money to get one of the, it might give you enough money then to upgrade someone like Bailey to an 8 million midfielder or something like that, And as I said, it's just a nice option for people. And like the heat map there is very, very instructive. I think like he's way up the pitch,
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we spoke about it a couple of months back, I think, when the Arsenal, like the new lineup kind of came out, was Zinchenko on that left wing back sort of position, and now obviously it's, I think, Tierney playing in there. It's kind of freed up Xhaka in that he doesn't have to run back as much. He kind of just plays much more of a forward pivot sort of role, and he's not having to trap back. And like his biggest issue used to be he loves a slide tackle, And he's much more of a last-ditch defender sort of man as opposed to getting in position and that sort of thing. That's why he was getting so many yellow cards. But this sort of thing has kind of helped him out. And as you say, he's playing much further forward. And because Jesus likes to come out to that wing, you've kind of got that intricacy of Xhaka, Odegaard, Jesus, and Zinchenko down that left side. And Xhaka's not afraid to get into the box and take that position forward because it's very fluid once they're in motion over there. And that's why you're seeing, additional attacking returns for him. So, yeah, I think he's definitely, as you say, a good enabler and somebody that I've got in on one of my fan tracks teams and stuff. He's ticks it over really well and pretty much guaranteed to play every game. So.
Yeah,
I was say as well. His heat map was generally more yellow and red than blue and red, weren't it? From alt cards that he used to get.
That was always the worry.
Yeah.
But like you say, that points per game, 4.75. That tracks with how he's been doing in my drafting. Just a nice little player that you can rely on, and like I say, for the price, you can't really argue. 5.1 million. That's Pereira territory, isn't it? The only thing is, it's an Arsenal slot in it. It's an Arsenal.
That's the thing. You're sacrificing Saka or a defender basically because most people will have Martinelli and Jesus, But I just think if you need to make a few quid in your team, but you still want in on Arsenal attack, as I said, the amount of times I watch Arsenal, and like you said, Chris, he's in the striker position because Jesus comes. He's like Harry Kane a lot. Jesus, he comes way deep, collects the ball, turns and runs at the defense, and then Odegaard and Xhaka are running on and bombing on and getting ahead of him into the box, So, as I said, what else is there at 5.1? Almiron is probably the alternative. Bailey, I think that ship has sailed. I saw somebody tweet today, Bailey got a 0. He played 59 minutes and got a yellow card, so he got 0 points. So I think at this point,
in the draft,
the Bailey ship has well sailed at this point.
That what a great end to that story that is. 59 points or nothing.
That's it.
Yeah, he sat there in free agency in the draft, and I just keep seeing the name and laughing to myself. He was one of the players I initially drafted. So
I've had
enjoy free agency, mate. Yeah. We've all been there. But yeah, that's Xhaka, another player we're going to have a look at. Casemiro. Interesting name, Jamesy.
Yeah, obviously I watch United very closely, being a United fan, and I'm surprised by this fella. In my head, Casemiro was an absolute destroyer. Anytime I saw him play for Real Madrid, he just sat in front of the defense, broke up play, and he had Toni Kroos and Luka Modric playing ahead of him, so he didn't have to do any. Literally, his job was break up play, make tackles, make interceptions, get the ball to them, and let them do all the lovely passing and brilliant build-up play that they do, And I assumed that was all he was, you know what I mean? But I have to say, watching him play for United, he's steadily improving. He's not as good defensively as I thought. I've seen him knocked off the ball a few times. I think probably the physicality of the league has probably taken him a little bit by surprise. So he's maybe not as good defensively as I thought, but he's also he doesn't have Kroos or Modric beside him in the United midfield. So actually his passing is way, way better than I thought. He really fast, looking to play a forward pass all the time. But the thing that's really caught my eye is every time he's played for United so far, he's had at least one really, really good chance. There was the Everton game there a few weeks ago. He got in the box for a header, should have scored. Had a great shot last night that just whizzed past the post. He's getting forward way more than I thought. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying to people go out and get Casemiro or anything like that, but if you look at the heat map, it's not, in my head, Casemiro's heat map would be a big red line across the front of the defense almost, and he would move sideways across in front of the defense and he wouldn't be getting forward. But that's very much the heat map of a box-to-box midfielder, really. You know what I mean? He's getting right up to into the attacking third there, just as much as he's in his own attacking third. You know what I mean? And I don't know what I was looking for in it. I looked at his XG stats, and if you add up his XG and XG, and look at, I can see Andy smirking there.
To get his XI, is that what you're saying?
His XG plus A, so goals, his expected goals plus assists is on per 90 is on a par with Jadon Sancho, which is,
the thing I would say about Yeah, the things I would say about Casemiro when I was looking, because I was a little surprised that you did ask for the info on him, so I did a bit of digging just to try and see what was going on.
Yeah.
His numbers are skewed because of the amount of minutes he's played.
Right.
That's why I asked you if you want me to compare him to somebody, because I was trying to figure out what would be the best way to do the comparison.
This is per 90, so it is.
So it's kind of extrapolated out sort of thing. So yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, looking over his career, he's basically a 1 in like when he was at Real, he was 1 in 10 games he'd get a goal, or 1 in 10 games he'd get an assist, basically. So he played 330. I'm going off the top of my head, 336 games, and he got 31 goals and 34 assists, something like that. So he's basically getting a 1 in 10 return in La Liga. You factor in the difference between quality of the lower end teams and that sort of stuff, and the team that's around him, sort of thing. I think you'd maybe be looking at he might get 1 goal this season and 2 assists, something like that.
I just think I think his role for Madrid, though, he didn't have to go forward, because look at the midfielders beside him. You know what I mean? Whereas at United, it seems to me he's a box-to-box midfielder now. You know what I mean? And the heat map kind of plays that out. He's not just sitting, which was his traditional role. He is getting up and down the pitch. You know, I'm not saying to people go out and buy him or anything like that, but it's just someone to keep an eye on. You know, he is getting chances, and he is getting in the box at least. You know. Yeah,
his chances do seem to be what you class as low XG, and not in the
long range shot last night.
Yeah, that's it. And it was quite funny because Lloris didn't move, as if he was thinking, "Oh, this is not close at all," and it literally like
if it was on target, it was in, because Lloris wouldn't have got to it.
Yeah, it was very odd. Like Lloris just kind of watched him shoot. It was like, "Oh, that's got no chance," and it almost clipped the post. So
it was a great effort.
It's an interesting one. Yeah. So I mean, it's. It seems to be somebody that will be getting minutes, but I'm not sure he'll be getting the points. Like you can see there, he's already almost a full point below his expected points. But an interesting one. And the other one was Bentancur, who literally plays everywhere.
Look at that! Look at that! That lad gets busy. He's doing some cardio, isn't he?
and it was exactly that last night. And Spurs switched last night from 3-4-3 to 3-5-2, and just played Kane and Son through the middle up front, and added Bissouma in midfield. And it seemed to be that of the 3 midfielders, he was the one that was allowed to get forward. And Spurs were pretty poor last night, but in the first 15 minutes, they actually attacked, you know, and I was quite worried watching the game, going, God, okay, Spurs are here to kind of win this game. Now, they soon retreated back for whatever reason and just kind of got into their shells or whatever. But in the first 15 minutes, he was flying forward. And there was a game recently Spurs played where Bentancur got something like 19 points in FPL or something like that.
Game week 8, he got 12.
12, yeah, it was a big haul anyway. It was a goal, 2 goals or an assist or something like that. He definitely has goals in him, and he's just. I just think again, if they continue with this 3-5-2, and maybe against poorer teams, he might be someone who might get forward into the box a little bit. And he can't finish. He's a good shot on him. He's a good passer. He's a very elegant footballer. Just again, might be like these aren't people I'm saying rush out and spend 5.4 million on these guys. I would say Xhaka of the 3 is the guy I'd go for. But just someone to watch and keep an eye on. I think Eddie Sideburns has him in his draft team, and he's pretty handy. He's pretty happy with him. I think he's kind of chugging along, getting an assist here and there, and tipping away, getting a nice amount of points for the player that he is.
Yeah. Again, I did go through week by week on Bentancur's heat maps, and the most recent one, the most recent 2 do show that he is getting much further forward. A lot of the stuff you can see towards the left-hand side of the attacking end on the heat map there, that's all from the United game. So that might have been more tactic than system. Probably something to keep an eye on, that he's getting further forward. But I think that may just be due to Kulievski not being in the team, and they're struggling to recreate what he does to the team. And so they kind of gave Bentancur a bit more of an attacking role. So I'd expect it
to go back into a more defensive position once Kulievski gets back in, I would guess.
Yeah, that'd be my thought. Once they get back, you'll see back more where the red end of the thing. But it is a thing to keep in mind if and when those guys are suspended or injured again down the end of the season. Bentancur could be the guy that gets moved forward into a more attacking role, because he has been a guy that's played under Conte for a few times. I think he came up
at Juve with him, wasn't he?
Yeah. So, it was I'd say if you were looking at any sort of kind of alternate sort of player, Xhaka might be the one. But again, you're taking up an Arsenal spot, so depends. Because I mean, you can look in every position at the Arsenal team, and there's a good option to pick up. So, like, if you were looking at getting a cheaper way into the Arsenal team, you could always look at Ben White or
Tomiyasu.
whoever's going to start playing.
I regret selling Ben White at the start of the season. Like, he was just, I've wanted him back ever since. I had that little period with Zinchenko in my squad, and it was that period where he wasn't playing. I noticed he was a free agent in the draft. Did you pick him up this week, Andy? Somebody picked him up. Or was it you, Chris?
I was going to mention that. I was looking at the free agents. I was like, how is Ben White in the free agent pool? Who's done that?
Yeah.
But I think I'm too high up the league to be able to pick him up, and I also would have wondered over who to actually take out for him.
I've put a request in for him.
Yeah, we'll find out in a second.
You can forget it because he'll write.
Oh, brilliant! Well, I've got a couple of irons in the fire, so I probably won't in the end. But I suppose we should get into the plans going forward. Captaincy. What are we looking at for game week 13? We'll look through. Got our teams here. Jamesy, we'll go to you first, mate. This is how you lined up. Have you made any changes yet? Have you done anything?
No, my transfer will be Trossard out. Either Foden or Saka, most likely Foden now. I haven't talked it through here, but one of those two. And I'll be captain in Holland. I don't feel like I need to be making any bold decisions and going against Holland or anything like that. Brighton at home is a very nice fixture. Brighton are a good team, but they're going to cut. They're not going to sit back. They're not going to defend in a low block. They're going to leave space in behind, and it's just, I think that's City are well rested. All the arguments from a year, even though I have Salah and it's Forest away, which gives you pause for thought, but still, I'm not. Haaland has 4 games left before the World Cup, 4 nice fixtures. He'll be my captain for all those games. I'm not even going to waste time thinking about it too much. Just slap the captaincy on him, and away we go.
Interesting, yeah. I think that's probably a reasonable move. Captain. I think there's going to be more of a split on captaincy this week, which is nice to see. That Salah versus
Forest game will tempt people, yeah. And
Southampton,
I suppose, as well for Arsenal.
It's the dinner time kickoff as well, the Forest Liverpool one. So,
is that good or bad? I don't know. I don't like those early ones. It ruins your week, doesn't it?
Never bet on the dinner time kickoff, don't they? Never have you in the dinner time.
Not the start of the weekend you want, is it? If it goes wrong, maybe that'll play into my thinking as well. But yeah, I like that, Jamesy. For me, I'm kind of in the same boat, trying to decide between Haaland and Salah. The minute it's on Haaland, I think it's probably gonna stay there. No moves made by me yet. I would like to get Foden in, especially based on the conversation we've had. I don't know, but my biggest problem I think this week is going into that Tottenham Newcastle game. 4 of my 5 defensive players are in that game, so I'll be that lad sitting there going, "Come on, 0-0, let's go, 0-0." Is that really going to happen?
It could be 0-0. They're both conservative enough managers. They're both solid defenses. I think 0-0's a good shout there, to be honest.
I could profit, couldn't I, if I stick with it? It just feels wrong having, like I say, those 2 Spurs defenders there. But I don't know. Perisic hasn't been what we've expected, but I also don't really want to ship him off. It's a hard call, really. But if I do make a move, it'll probably be bringing Foden in, and maybe like you, James, it might well be for Zaha. I think my long-term plan was to do Salah back to KDB or Foden. But I kind of like one of them this week, so maybe I'll go early on that, and it'll be Zaha who suffers. And Everton are we're pretty solid at the minute, as far as at the back goes, generally speaking. So maybe it's a good week to let Zaha go. But I think it's only really captaincy I'm thinking of, and like I said, Andreas Pereira on the bench, first sub. Something about that league's fixture appeals to me. He's starting to make an argument. If there's a week where I'm struggling to decide. There's a few people with bad fixtures. I think he'll get into my starting 11, based on current form. But we'll see. Still undecided, but most likely expect Zaha for Foden for me. Chris, over to your lot at the moment. Captaincy sitting on Haaland for you as well.
Yeah, I can't see that moving. As we said, that game will be quite open, so you'd expect him to get at least 1 return. Similar to you, that Spurs Newcastle game is going to ruin my week because I've got 3 Spurs players and 2 Newcastle players. So we'll see how that goes. There was quite an interesting piece on Newcastle today on their tactics by Tifo, which is up on their YouTube page, which is worth a watch, on showing how they now play under the manager, like the newer manager, as opposed to the Steve Bruce team and that sort of thing, and how they press. And I do wonder if Spurs will go into that game in a similar way they did to United and kind of play within themselves, try and counteract that high intense like gegenpress sort of style. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, so Pope and goal, Perisic and Dyer, Cancelo, Foden's the guy coming in, with Trossard going out. Zaha, Almiron, Martinelli, Haaland, Tony Kane. Yeah, I'm quite happy with how it's set up. Andreas, as you say, I could bring Andreas in for Zaha or Almiron. I'll probably make a decision close to the time, and then Anderson and Williams on the Neco Williams on the bench. So yes, I think
Any
it's fairly
interest in
solid.
bringing Ward in, Chris? Any interest in flipping your keepers for the day?
I don't know. I mean, I was playing around.
I think you're the same, Benno. You've Pope as well, haven't you?
Yeah, Pope. I've got Iverson on my bench still. He's still rotting at 3.9 million.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing around on Fantasy Football Hub earlier with the team, and when you optimize your team, which gives you the best team for that out of your squad for that game week, it does say that Ward is the choice over Pope, which, understandable. You think of the talent that Spurs have got up front compared to the talent that Wolves have got up front, so it could be.
Clean sheet again tonight against the most blunt attack in the whole league. Like, I have Ward on my bench, and my goalie is Gaeta, so it's really like,
I mean, it's because I mean the thing was, we've been saying it for a while, like that Leicester defense shouldn't be as bad as it was because they've got everybody back now, and James Justin's back, and this, that, the so I mean, it seems like they're finding a bit of form.
3 clean sheets and 4.
So it could be away at Wolves. Yeah, I mean, that'll probably be another decision I'll make on the day, but I'm leaning towards Pope at the minute, but I probably should switch that over and then probably just leave Andreas as first sub. And
if he comes on, he comes on, any. That's kind of how I'm sitting on it.
That's it. And then then it's Anderson will come on if Perisic doesn't play, I guess. But
like that. Nico sitting third. Yeah, like it. Look good.
Yeah, not fancying that against Liverpool.
No. Hey, coming back home, you never know.
That's true.
Yeah.
I did like the way that because everyone was like, Sergio Herrera taking his place, and then they both played just on opposite. They didn't play instead of one another. They just became the left and right back. Yeah, so
it was looking like the end, wasn't it? But we've still got him knocking about. Before we get to some quick breaking news, we'll go to you, Andy. How's your team looking? Sitting on Haaland's. How many moves you made so far? How many are you going to make?
No, I'm just sticking with -4 this week, Benno. So I took out Leandro Trossard for Granit Xhaka, so that freed up 1.8 million there. And then I've got rid of Marcus Rashford and put Philip Foden in. So what I was planning on doing, I was originally thinking bringing like Odegaard in and swapping like Zaha out, but I said, well, with Trossard, it was just like bringing him in for a game against Forest and see how he did. He did shit, so he's gone out. And like we said, Xhaka's probably a good option at 5.1 to have on your bench.
Would you not start him this week?
That was the one I was thinking, but I've got him back in my head. Like Zaha does pop up with goals, doesn't he? I know it can be like a frustrating player to have in your team, but he is someone who will score 1 and 2 goals at a time. So I'm happy with that midfield now. On paper, it looks a good team now. But you know me, fucking hell. And a week or two of shite, and I'm bloody changing it again. So you're like,
that's a really good team now, honestly.
The goalies,
and great subs.
Yeah, so no, happy with that. I don't think changing, like swapping Ederson and Raya this week, because Ederson's got a good fixture at home against Brighton. And I know Villa are shite, but
well,
Well,
on that note,
New manager bounce, maybe.
it's happened while we've been live. Gerard's gone. I will have just tweeted, thanks to Chris in the chat, letting us know that Gerard's gone with immediate effect. Not a shock, is it, lads? I mean,
we got rid of another. We got rid of another live on air this time, Benno.
I love that as well on the screen. Liz Truss steps
Liz
down.
Truss.
Damn it, two big stories of the day. Off goes Gerard. Off goes Truss. Yeah, it was always coming, wasn't it? But yeah, they've just not. Those interviews he's been doing lately, he's like his whole demeanor, like he's blaming the players. Like, I wonder with Gerard, like I think someone will give him a chance at some point again. You know, he'll probably go back to Scotland or something for now, but he'll be back in the Premier League one day. I'm pretty certain of it. But yeah, it hasn't just really didn't work out, did it?
He's a name at the end of the day, and a name like his, it just gets jobs easily. He'll end up putting money on. He'll end up somewhere like West Brom, who've just got rid of the old Steve Bruce, and they're like, "All right, we need a big name in to appease the fans." He's the sort of person who'll end up at a West Brom in the Championship.
He won't even have to move house then.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
He's looking to like rebuild his reputation, like what he sort of got at Rangers, and then once like Jurgen Klopp goes from Liverpool, they'll be like, "Oh, Gerard will come in now."
Seems like one day they'll be like Klopp can't stay forever. They'll be between managers. They'll be like, "Oh God, we'll give Stevie a go." You know, they love a bit of romance, don't they, Jamesy?
But like, the thing about Gerrard for me is, I was always a bit surprised he even became a manager. Like, because even as a player, when you'd hear him interviewed, he never enjoyed being in front of a microphone. Like, he always looked really awkward and not as charismatic or like, I know he was an inspirational player by his actions and by his, by the way he played on the pitch, but like he never struck me as a guy, if I was sitting in a dressing room giving me a team talk, that he'd, like you said, Benno, his interviews as a manager, even, like, it's all very downbeat and very, I don't know. And I don't think he's particularly tactically astute or anything like that. I think he obviously did a good job in Scotland and broke up Celtic's dominance up there, but I don't know. Like, the fact that Lampard has seen him off, and that Lampard has stayed in a job longer than him, says a lot, you know what I mean? Because I don't particularly rate either of them, to be honest, but yeah, a sad day for him, because I'm sure, like you said, he would have had aspirations to be Liverpool manager one day, and when it went so well at Rangers, he was probably thinking, get into like Villa's a really good job. Like Villa back their managers, like they gave him lots of money to spend. The players they have, they should be top 10, top 8. Coutinho, Watkins, Ings, Buendia. The midfielders they have, that new guy they signed, Camara, they've got good defenders, 2 decent foot. Like, that's a good team. They shouldn't be languishing down the bottom of the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Team, aren't they?
There'll be a couple of managers with their eyes on that job.
I wonder, would Poch go there? I think that's a nice job for Pochettino, because it's low key enough. It's a young team. I think all the top clubs in England are kind of set for their managers at the moment. There's no job on the horizon there. Like, United just got a manager.
Allardyce till Christmas.
Yeah. I think that's a nice job for Pochettino to get back into English football. I really do. I think that's a good club. They'll give him money to spend. They've a really good youth system as well, and he loves working with young players as well. So don't be surprised if Pochettino shows up there. And I think that would be a nice match. They'd be good for each other, I think.
Definitely. Oh, well, there we go. Who's next, Andy? Yeah, who are we putting our money on next? Who's going? David Moyes, maybe? You
would have said that, buddy. Hasenhüttl at Southampton, but they got a win this week. So.
He always does it. He always digs out a win just when he needs it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Probably Rodgers, but again, sure, Rodgers just got a win there tonight. Maybe Jesse Marsh, actually.
Jesse Marsh, yeah. He's probably the one with the record that they got. The thing is, with Leicester at the moment, it's more the home wins what are saving them than the away.
Well, see which managers step down after the World Cup, and then that will make some clubs contemplate getting a new manager. And I think
that's
the
all
way it works.
England are going to need a new manager, I'd say.
Yeah, I think Southgate steps down.
He will, I think. Yeah.
That's cool.
Who'd go for that next then? Who'd be next England manager after Southgate?
Gerrard.
Potter was always the core, wasn't it? But everyone was like,
There was talk
Potter
of
can
Tuchel
leave
there,
Brighton. But
I saw Thomas
I think
Tuchel being mentioned. That'd be amazing for England if they got him.
they should do the like you can in Footy Manager, just be club and international manager. It's not a lot of work, is it? You just
I always make that mistake in FIFA. You know, when you're playing like a season, you get to get off with like an international job every week, and you take one thing and that'll be fun, and then it's like, oh, now I've got 2 teams to manage. It's like this with the draft, which is a good segue to some teams that maybe need new managers. It's not looking good for my lot at the minute. They're still updating the game, so I'll be using live FPL to look at the main leagues, but. Game week 11 last week in the draft. Rare draw there, me and Connor, 34-34.
Oh, yeah.
That was a bit of a shocker that coming through. Gareth just about lost to Jordan, who's been pushing in the draft league as well. Andy, you lost to Chris there. Matty lost to you, brother Chris. Eddie beating Will, and JP falling to you, Jamesy, last week. So yeah, good week for you lads. Maybe not so much for me. And yeah, as far as this week goes, less said the better. Fucking Gareth 42 to Mike 13. That one hurts. Never like losing to Gareth. Andy, you beat Connor this week. Low scorer one.
I would say my team this week with the defence, they're all 6, 6, 7, 7.
That defensive line. Yeah, 7, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Demonic, mate. What a solid that. Take that.
Absolute muller in that. The Brighton defenders turned up this time, thank God.
That's a good team.
Yeah, take that, mate. You're looking good in the draft at the minute. I like that. Matty and Jordan low scoring. Eddie beating Chris Elliott. JP losing to you there, Chris, and James.
I think Eddie's just said that Chris Elliott beat him, didn't he? No.
I think Jamesy and Will were 36-36 last time I looked. But
he's a point off his bench, the bastard.
He's
got one. If you look down at his bench, he's got Ian Acho came on in the last minute. That's what's done me in. Well, he would have had Tarkovsky anyway, so doesn't matter. But yeah, he was 15 points ahead of me overnight, and I thought I dragged him back. And I was checking the bonus points. I have Dewsbury Hall there, and he got an assist, and he was one. If he'd got one more bonus point, he would have had another point. I would have got the draw. So you're in deep when you're watching bonus points to see if you can draw a game in the draft. Let
me just double check. I haven't made up the 30-point swing against Gareth. No, I didn't. Anywho. That's interesting then. Yeah, I wonder if there's any other swings. Connor and Andy. Andy on 31 there. I think the rest of them are staying as is. Chris, you there when you're 46.
Fairly comfortable there. Thanks to Bruno Fernandes and Bruno Gamiras.
James, JP there on 33. All still to play for there, but yeah, that absolutely killed me. The GRAPPL derby there, pathetic performance from lads there. I was lucky to get 11 out, to be honest, but
Coutinho's still there for you, Benno. Bloody hell.
He's got Ronaldo there sitting there with a big fat 0.
You got some Muppets in that team, haven't you, on that right hand side?
All right, mate, it's bad enough. Do you want to do any trades or anything while we're live on air? I'll bet you an offer. Luis Diaz, maybe, you know.
Fancy lying down for me this week, Benno, and I'll finger poke of doom.
Getting that bad. That's where I am. It's not good. I made a couple of trade offers. Gareth's just taking the piss out of me. Look at this one. I threw to him. I did offer Diaz for Trossard. He's made a counter offer. He wants Perisic out to me, and he's offering me Romero. Don't know. Is it worth it for the next 4? Or should I just
he's giving you Romero, is it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Romero for Perisic.
The only thing is the rotation. Like Romero's going to play every game, whereas Perisic, like the next 4, he could play 2 and be benched in 2. You know, so you know.
maybe I'll go for it. I don't know. I mean, Tross. I just thought he
I
might go
wouldn't say
for
no
it.
straight away. I'd have a good long think about it because Romero, it's the same defense, and Romero will play the 4 games, whereas Perisic, he's in and out of the team all the time, and you'll be worrying about that every week.
I need to do something. I need to do something.
You've got me this week, Benno. You're grand.
Oh, I don't know. So
Big,
yeah, I suppose on the
6-pointer.
overall league. Yeah. Yeah, on the overall league, at least I'm not in the relegation zone. Connor and JP were propping that up. So yeah, James, you'd still be there or thereabouts. But it's like Jordan and Gareth at the top. That's the battle, isn't it? Jordan fighting for both leagues right now. He's
And
showing
Eddie.
us all how it's done. Oh yeah,
Eddie's right
in the
there.
mix
We
as
always
well.
forget Eddie, and he's level with Gareth.
Yeah, there you go. He's in the mix too. Andy, yeah, you're still there, mate. Still, once you toss up the points there,
Top
you still
4.
be in the Champions League places.
I'm still chugging along there. I think I'm only 3 off the top, so three or 6 off the top. So I'm happy. I'm happy how I'm doing. I see Matty obviously lost this week twice because Haaland either not playing or just not turning up. That's his only player in his team.
The Undertaker's urn.
I need to offer that lad some cash. Yeah, look at that, Haaland, Alvarez. Okay, can I say not a good week. I think it's like you said in the chat, he threw it this week. It was it's all about next week. When sometimes when the draft is like, hey, I'm losing this week, and it's not like proper FPL. I can't do a free hit. I'm just gonna have to accept the loss this week and go again the week after.
Thing is, as well, like we said earlier, is in terms of where Matty is with that Haaland and Alvarez, there's no one that you could really bring in, like strikers wise. Like we said, Broja was the only one. There's no one else.
And midfield is like I'm a my midfield is shocking, and every week I scour the list of midfielders and there's just nothing there. The defenders is where all the value is. If I could play 7 at the back, I'd be delighted because there's loads of good defenders, but the fucking midfield is woeful.
You'd be allowed. They should for the draft. An extra thing is just you've got to have 11. You play whatever formation you want.
11 at the back, yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like now, my back 5, Kepa in goal, and then Guehi and Anderson from Palace, Koulibaly and Kukurea from Chelsea, and Eric Dyer. I'm like, that's not changing for the rest. That's why I wasn't going in for Ben White. That's like, that'd be all right with them, I think. That's what you want. You need a keeper and 5 defenders, and then
when I was doing well at it last year, I had a 5-man defense the whole way through, and I had 4 set, and then my 5th, I'd kind of cycle in and out depending on fixtures, kind of. But 5 at the back is the way to go in this for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. But all to play for in the draft, and all to play for in the main league. Like I say, the game is currently updating, so we'll have a quick look at livefpl.net. If people don't use it, I would highly recommend it. One of the great resources, isn't it, James? The livefpl.net I noticed it went down a few times this weekend. Just I think it's getting more popular. But if you want your points as they go, and you can have a look at who captained in the league as a quick view, you can have a quick look at people's teams. I would highly recommend it. And it looks like at the minute sitting on top,
Romania.
The Romanian.
Who is this guy?
Doing well. Yeah, we need to reach out if you listen, mate. Let us know. I'll put a shout out on the main GRAPPL show for him. Pope on the bench as well. Look at that. The embarrassment of riches this week.
And it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
8 points on the
Oh, did he play his wild card? He did, didn't he?
He did,
he played. That's what it is.
So he's got rid of triple captain last week for Ireland and using the wild card this week.
Man after your own heart, Andy.
Listening to me.
Doing well. Adam, our mate, in second though, also a wild card team on 67. Well, impressive. Hold on to your wild card that long and it paying off immediately. Like that's better than I think any of our wild cards went in this first half of the season. Gotta enjoy that and going forward. But you're still there or thereabouts, James. There you are in 5th.
Myself and Jordan are having a great battle. There's literally 1 point between us.
He's done well as well. A lot of Salah captains there at the top. It's a long scroll to get to us, lads. Unfortunately, we're not sitting anywhere near. I don't even know where I am at this point. I think I'm like
Here's JP.
Where was JP? What was he? What number?
Just saw him. 38, is it?
Oh yeah, JP. Oh, there he is. Yeah,
Is
39.
he winning the battle of the Hoolahans?
I think he's the top place. Oh no, there's Tommy.
Oh no, Tommy's up. Yeah,
yeah, Tommy's doing well there. He had a good little week, Captain Salah.
Jake
I was
on the bench.
gonna see, can I get the Houlihan League up? There it is, Houlihan family. JP sitting there, he's still sitting second in it. He's not in the relegation zone, so I'm sure he'll take that. But yeah, not bad for JP. Yeah, there I am, 47th. Green arrow, I'll take it. That's confirmation. Yeah, I'm quite happy, to be honest.
You moved up from you were about 80s and 90s, weren't you?
Yeah, and an overall rank I'm quite happy with at the minute. The GRAPPL, the correspondence league we've got. I'm back kind of in the mix now, sitting in third in that one as well. Yeah, I'll take that. Dizzying heights. It's doing this podcast. It's keeping me going. It's giving me more reason to fight. But yeah, if we go all the way down, I think this will actually load the entire league in one go. Yeah, 167. Roberto Carlos still down. Hassan Akbar, Andrew Leary popping up the table. Green arrow there for Martin Bushby though. That's the one we're keeping an eye on, isn't it?
Martin listens to us every Friday morning. In fairness to him. He's the only person who actually listens to the audio version of this, so fair play to him.
He's the one.
me and Chris were giving him advice in the pub on Sunday evening.
Good stuff. We have to get him on here one of the nights.
Definitely, yeah. He's done well. Did he bring Haaland in the end and then get rid of him?
He did.
Is that what he's done? Oh, right.
I think he wouldn't have him on the free hit this week, I think, but he brought him in last week, I think, yeah.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
And I mean, it looks like Matty only got 6 points, so Martin will be catching him up in 9 points overall.
Oh, there's Matty there. Oh, I think it ended up on 17, but that's still not good.
Put on those red flags. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
He needs some surgery, doesn't he?
He's given up there, hasn't he? I think that's over for Matty. Did anyone see Will's name near the bottom?
Yeah, Will's around he's below me. There he is. 144.
144. Yeah, there he is. Oh, that's Chris, isn't it?
Another team with Salah.
There he is. 149. That's him. There's our Will. 48 points for the week. Captain Rashford, brave. Hey, he's still trying though, still going for it.
Yeah,
that
was actually an accident because remember he was saying it in the chat he'd forgotten to.
Oh yeah,
he'd forgotten.
Could have worked out.
But it turned out no worse than Salah in the end. So
not a bad week for that.
Card out that team, Will. Terrible.
That's Eddie on 145 there as well. He's definitely having better fortune in the draft league. But yeah, we are getting to the point of the season, aren't we, where ranking stuff is starting to matter. But I think we're all going in the right direction. So
I'm cautiously optimistic about the next 4 weeks. I think I'll be a bit more in contention by the break.
That's it. And a lot of people near the top are people who've used the wild cards, used the triple captain, used the bench boost. Our time's going to come, Chris. That's what I'm telling myself. Those doubles, those game week 30 plus, that's the time for us to shine.
I only need 150 points and I'm bang up there with Jamesy. So
that's what they all say, Chris.
Those doubles next year, I'm telling you. There's so much points to play for still.
That's where the money is made, isn't it? But yeah, only 4 weeks to go in this part of the season, lads. So 4 more episodes of this before the World Cup break. But yeah, that'll do us for this episode. No one else has been sacked. No one else has died so far. But tune in next week to find out who. there might be any prime minister by then, actually. Yeah.
Oh dear. We're like the Aaron Ramsey of podcasts.
Every Thursday, big news day. We'll see. But that's it. But yeah, other than that, follow us all on Twitter. Andy at OggyPath3, Chris at GreatPathHeel, Jamesy _2015. Is it still? Never think of changing that one. Was that the year you signed up? It's I don't want to be offended you by saying it's not your date of birth, but
it's definitely not my date of birth. No, it must be the year I joined Twitter, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Once it's your name, you got to keep it, haven't you? It stays. Follow me.
I might just change it because of all the enemies I've made at this stage. Just start afresh. I have so many people blocked, and so many people have me blocked at this stage that maybe it's time for a fresh start. Jamesy _2023, maybe.
The amount of Americans I stumble on and I'm like, oh, I didn't know they had me blocked. Yeah, it was probably the Regal thing. Fair enough. And I just moved on with my day.
You tried again this week to bring it up again. What was it?
Yeah,
Ultimate Warrior had a better in-ring career than William Regal.
More highs, I'm just saying. I don't know if I'd stand. The mean, the average, I wouldn't stand by that statement. The highs, though.
Top end, though. Yeah, Ultimate Warrior versus Rick Rude is probably better than, or Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage is probably better than any
even the Hogan
William
match is
Regal
all
match.
right, isn't it?
For what it is.
He brought it on the big stage. Those WrestleMania matches are probably still top 50-ish all time.
Yeah, there you go. That's easy. I'm not just trolling.
No WrestleMania X7 openers making that top 50 of all time, is it?
Need to get Jericho to punch that 3.25 he gave it in his book into the GRAPPL app. That'll teach them all. And if you don't believe me, listen to Regal's podcast. He'll tell you his shit as well. But anyway, that's another podcast. That's Spotlight on Mondays. Listen to that. But there we go. But yeah, follow us all on Twitter. And yeah, we'll be back. Twitch, YouTube, audio podcast out there for more fun. Just 4 single game weeks to go, but everything to play for, lads. But yeah, thank you everyone who's tuned in live. Thank you everyone on the audio feed. And yeah, we'll catch you again next Thursday night.
Bentacoa.
See you all. Love it.